They laughed at the secret heiress in the wheelchair until a janitor's daughter called her a queen. The first time Eleanor rolled into the lecture hall, the whispers were louder than the professor's voice. "Who brings a wheelchair here? She looks so fragile. She'll never survive the program." They didn't know her name or her story. All they saw was the chair. Eleanor had grown up behind iron gates and chandeliers, the only child of a family wealthier than most towns. But no one at Brookfield University knew that. After the accident that took her ability to walk, her parents suggested tutors, private lessons, safety behind the state walls. But Eleanor refused. She wanted to be out there, in the real world, messy, unpredictable, alive. And so she hid her last name, registering under her mother's maiden one. She wanted people to see her and not her fortune. But people rarely did. Every day she wheeled into class, students stared at her like she was fragile glass. Some laughed behind her back, others ignored her as if disability was contagious. The cruelest part was the silence. Eleanor could fight words, but silence carved the deepest wounds. Still, she pressed on. One cold November evening, after a particularly harsh day when two boys had mocked the way she struggled to reach a shelf in the library, Eleanor stayed late in the empty hall. That's when she heard a voice, clear and sweet. "Do you need help?" It wasn't a professor or a fellow student. It was Maya, the janitor's daughter, who sometimes came after school to sweep up wrappers and wipe down desks while her father worked night shifts. She was barely 15, hair tied back with a ribbon that had seen better days, hands rough from scrubbing floors. Eleanor forced a smile. "I'm fine." But Mia didn't move. She tilted her head, studying Eleanor's trembling hands as she tried to gather her scattered papers. Then, quietly but firmly, Mia said words that pierced deeper than any insult. "You look like a queen sitting there." Eleanor froze. No one had ever said that. No one had seen her like that. She had been the cripple, the burden, the odd one out. But to Maya, this girl with worn shoes and bright, unbreakable eyes, she was royalty. "Why do you say that?" Eleanor whispered. "Because queens don't need to stand to rule," Mia replied simply. "They just need to shine. And you, a broken bar, you shine even if no one claps for you." Tears blurred Eleanor's vision. A stranger, a janitor's daughter, had given her the one thing her money could never buy: dignity. The next morning, something changed. Eleanor rolled into class not hunched, not hiding, but upright, proud. She began raising her hand more, speaking with conviction. When others whispered, she looked them in the eye. When someone mocked her, she answered with calm brilliance. Slowly, the laughter died down. Curiosity replaced cruelty. Respect followed. One semester later, during the university's debate championship, Eleanor spoke with such fire that the entire auditorium rose to its feet. Professors clapped, students cheered, and for the first time, they weren't applauding the girl in the wheelchair. They were applauding Eleanor, the thinker, the leader, the queen Mia had seen all along. Afterward, as reporters swarmed around her, someone finally uncovered her secret. "She's Eleanor Whitford, up the Wilford heiress." Gasps spread like wildfire. Students who had once sneered now rushed forward with wide smiles, eager to befriend her. But Eleanor wasn't fooled. She had seen what their kindness was worth. She wheeled past the cameras and found Mia waiting by the exit, mop in hand. Without hesitation, Eleanor took off the gold medal around her neck and placed it gently over Mia's. "You saw me before anyone else did," Eleanor said, her voice breaking. "You're the real queen." The world would later write headlines about Eleanor Whitford, the heiress who conquered prejudice from her wheelchair. But Eleanor herself never forgot the truth, that sometimes, the greatest crowns are invisible, placed on us by voices that dare to lift us when the world pushes us down. And from that day forward, whenever she introduced herself in speeches across the country, Eleanor always added a line that made audiences pause and smile. "I became a queen the day a janitor's daughter told me I was one."